Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the world famous podcast, Beating the Press. You've got your two hosts, myself, Ty, and we've got the wonderful Kristian with us as well. As always, our topic is football. If that is your kind of thing, please do that magical thing, like and subscribe down below. Share it with your friends and family. You never know, they might like football as well. Anyway, we are approaching the biggest game of the season so far. So we thought, let's do a podcast about it. So here we are.
Baby.
Yeah, Chris, so firstly, how are you doing today? It's actually the first time we've spoke since Lanzarote, since our first international podcast where you gave everyone a quick review where we had our podcast from, not too far from the beach. How are you doing? Are you any COVID or anything like that?
No, I fortunately avoided it all. Unfortunately, though, we are filming from our various locations, obviously Middlesbrough and Leeds respectively, and not on the pretty much on the beach. Getting sunburned, by the way, and I take full responsibility for that. But I'm feeling very good. Looking forward to this weekend, a massive weekend of sport. There's the Formula One, there's the golf, but obviously I think a lot of the world is focused on this game in particular. What about yourself? Obviously you were struck down in Lanzarote. Well, not in Lanzarote once you got back from Lanzarote.
Yeah, I got back from Lanzarote, so I got tested positive. So I landed back on Sunday night, early hours of Monday morning, about midnight on Sunday it was, wasn't it? And next day I wasn't feeling right. Tuesday I tested myself and I was positive. So that's the first time. I dodged it for 2 years and then pow, hit me. And I was called out for about 2 days. But thankfully vaccinated and boosted, so it got me right. And here I am a week. I just had to take time off work as well. I remember I tried to sit. I was on this online webinar thing for about 2 hours, and I logged on. And I was just like, I need to lay down, and I just fell asleep. I was dead. I was like, this isn't for me. Logged off. I was like, hold it. So I'm back now. I'm back. I'm glad. Obviously, looking forward to the football now. Liverpool good win in Champions League. So this game coming up is just. I mean, you can say huge, massive, everything. It is all of those and more. So we thought, only right, we have a little chat and see where the game can be won and lost. Not so much about the result and stuff, and we'll discuss that at the end. But I think just to start with, we're going to go where we think the game's going to be decided. So over to you, Chris.
Yeah, so obviously both teams are in decent form. Obviously, the international break, I think, helped Man City. It kind of helped Liverpool because we weren't playing too great. We've still kind of, I wouldn't say scraping results, we're just getting results. And, we haven't been tested enough to take it to that next level. Now, as for where you think the game's won and lost, I always go back to the centre midfield for me. It's too easy for me to say that Manchester City don't have a forward. In reality, when they show up against Liverpool, they generally don't really seem to have a problem scoring goals, regardless of who they've got on the pitch, because Liverpool are a team who obviously come out and attack. No other team comes out at Man City like Liverpool does and goes toe for toe, because no other team has, the capabilities to do that. Now, obviously, Liverpool are in I'm not sure how the game's going to go. Like you would likely think that both managers won't change their style of play; they'll just go at each other. Whereas I'm not sure whether it would benefit one or the other. Obviously, City, in reality, they'll think that they need, a draw is a good result, and I also think a draw is a good result for Liverpool because of Manchester City's patchy form, would we say, and Liverpool just keep on ticking games off. Bear in mind that they've got the harder games. But yeah, centre midfield is always where I think is one. I think they've got the best player in the the Premier League, and he's definitely the best midfielder in my opinion. Kevin De Bruyne, he's been brilliant lately, scoring important goals, but he has been playing a lot further forward. He could be playing as, the false nine. It could be Jack Grealish. It could be, it could be any one of those.
What do you think?
But I think it will. What do you think? I think it will benefit them to be in the midfield. But for Liverpool, I think if Liverpool manage to get out, and it's an interesting one. Obviously, want Thiago out. I'm not sure whether Thiago started against Man City before. Thiago, Fabinho together, and then for me, I think we needed Jordan Henderson's energy. I think we need him just keeping everybody accountable. I would probably go with that. That is my go-to midfield.
I think that's Klopp's go-to midfield as well.
Yeah, but I thought Naby Keita was brilliant in the last game, and I do think that when Naby Keita plays at the peak of his ability, he is a brilliant player. And those three players, I think it's a midfield what I anticipated were going to be our best midfield, but it's never quite happened just because of Keita. Obviously, you always know what you're going to get with Manchester City. They do have potentially, arguably, the better midfield technically, but as a system, Liverpool, you could argue the other way. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I'd be interested. I was trying to get in there. I want to ask you what midfield three do you think Guardiola would play for Man City? Because I think Liverpool, we mentioned, I think Liverpool, Klopp's go-to midfield is Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago. And I'd imagine it'd be that three against Man City as well. I'd be interested. I was just going to ask you what you think Man City three would be.
I think it'll be Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne. I think they'll be the three.
No Gundogan.
No, he didn't play in the last game. If you ask me which midfielder I wouldn't want to play against, Gundogan would be in there 100%. But he didn't play he didn't play in the last one. What you could have is perhaps Bernardo Silva pushing out slightly and bringing in Gundogan. But I do think he'll start with Foden, because Foden, is brilliant against us. He's excellent. He always seems to score a goal, and I think he's a great player. He came on and changed, I wouldn't say changed the game, but obviously unlocked the Atletico defence. A little bit of luck, but he's going to start. Raheem Sterling, he doesn't really tend to have a great game against us, so I think it might be Jack Grealish to start out with. And then Mahrez on the other side. So those are Mahrez. I don't like playing against him. And Gundogan, Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. Those are the players that I'm most afraid of for Man City.
Yeah, interesting. That I actually think he'll play Gundogan, and I think he might end up going. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? But the thing is, Gundogan plays, and it looks like Bernardo Silva might drop out because Rodri's playing and then De Bruyne is playing, and then it's like Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, because the front three I think will be similar to you. How I see, I think it'll be Mahrez plays, I think Foden plays, and I think it's Grealish just only probably goes with. But maybe I don't know. It's a flip between them two, but then the three there's only It's a tough.
Do you remember how good Silva was against us in the home game? He was easily the standout player for them. I don't know whether Pep will look back on a particular fixture and think, right, this is the kind of fixture that generally suits him. But he's not been as good as what he was at the start of the season. Silva, sorry, he's not been as good as the start of the season, but he is. He still seems to play like there's certain games which he turns up against us, and that's why I think he potentially will play. And I hope he doesn't play. I hope they all don't play, because Manchester City is just a great team. Yeah,
of course they are. I mean, interesting that, but I actually think the fullbacks are going to have a huge part to play. I mean, I think the difference for us against Man City this time around than any of the other games we've played before, and it's been noticeable in the last sort of 4 or 5 games. When our starting front three aren't playing well, Klopp will hook any two of them who aren't playing, and the two that are coming on are really making a difference. This is something we've not had. We've had to rely on Origi and Shaqiri, in previous years, or Minamino. So I think that's going to have a big part in it. Now, the front three have got to be on it and play right. If not, you're getting hooked. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a big part. The fact that Trent came back on Tuesday as well, big, massive bonus to that for us. Do you know what I mean? He can come and really make a difference for us. I fancy us more than I do normally, just because I'm going to be in the sky anyway when the game, I'm going to miss the game, which is I'm going to land and we're not going to know what score it is. So I'll be like, all I'll be thinking about is the game. So
you'll see all your WhatsApps come through from me.
I know, yeah, I probably will. But no, I just think it's such it's so delicate balance. But I actually do think we've got a great chance of winning. The draw's an interesting one. I mean, I actually don't. I think the draw is a tough one, because I can see both teams just going on the next 7-8 games and just rattling them off and winning. Because they're the two. And I've said it. you can go back to the initial podcast we ever did, and I've always stood by it. We are the two best teams in the league by distance, even though Chelsea sort of flirted with that, and just they're so far ahead of everyone. So it could go either way. The standard that these two have done is just brilliant. And just going back on one of your earlier points about Liverpool, the only team that attacked Man City, absolutely, and Man City, the only team that attacked Liverpool. Do you know why it becomes great? Because when them two play each other, they go head to head. Every other team that plays against them two just plays defensive counter-attacking football. Play on the break, play on the break, play on the break, and that's it. But these two go head for head, and they'll press high, and they look to play out as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's just brilliant. It's top level elite football you can watch. Yeah. And you could actually, if you want to sort of analyze a game of football and tactically go really deep, you can just watch that game, get a bird's eye view, and just pause it every 30 seconds, and you can have so many little patterns of play. You can see exactly the types of press they're going to do, what the angle of the press is going to be, and when they're trying to attack, what patterns they've got, how far. If you ever watch, if you watch the Atletico game, there was an angle when I saw it, I thought this sort of stuff is great. This is the sort of insight I want from pundits. Even I could see it, but I think it'd be really good. So Atletico Madrid, even though they were playing 5 at the back, the ball was on the left wing. The whole team had gone over. So the right winger of Man City was really wide. There was loads of space for them to hit, even though the left back of Atletico was all the way over. It was almost a sort of like 2/5 of the pitch was sort of free on that side. So that's what you call congesting the play there. It was like getting the ball switched over there, but then Atletico Madrid was stopping the switch. It was just like chess within a chess. It was real top-notch detail. And watching that firsthand, it was just like a real joy. So if you watch that Liverpool Man City game, that'll just be elite level analysis of how to press, angles of press, when to press, why not to press, and then playing out from the back as well. Moments in the game, patterns, and all that sort of stuff. And if you watch Liverpool as well, Henderson and Trent, every time the ball's in there, the first pass they'll always look is forward. So it's almost like the triggers for the front three. As soon as the ball breaks, their trigger is just to go because they're going to expect a ball going that way. So it's those details. You know what I mean? You can actually have like a brilliant sort of day of analysis if you just watch that game, pause it, record it, pause it, and just walk through it. So yeah, I say I'm looking forward to watching. I'm not going to watch it, but I'm just hopeful we win.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a contrast in, I'd say, almost similar philosophies in that, Liverpool's game is very much playing on the counter press. Obviously the turnover and basically getting the ball as quickly as they can towards the goal. And you've got we notoriously like that press, but if anyone can break that press, it is Manchester City, and you see that we generally struggle against teams that can beat the press, get the head up, look forward and find a forward pass. So we always try to make sure that we can cut out those passes early on. And Man City are the team where, it's just a couple of passes, they'll just bang it through you and then, they're in. Now, obviously we've covered the midfield. I anticipate that Liverpool will go with obviously the best, right back Trent, Robbo left back, the two centre backs. I'm just thinking those centre backs. We had Konate in the other night. He played well, other than his mistake. He's got that pace to be able to match Virgil van Dijk. Or do you think it'll be a case of Matip will come back in?
I think Matip's his go-to, his go-to team for me, I think it's going to be Alisson, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Robbo. That's his go-to back five. His go-to midfield threes, Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago. Absolutely, that's it. Now, he does, the front three can vary and change. I think Salah and Mane always start. And I think he might even go with Jota. So he might go Salah, Jota and Mane. Or it could be Diaz on the left and Mane down the middle. I don't think Firmino starts. I think it's 3 from those 4, but I think Salah and Mane definitely start.
Yeah. And obviously Man City centre backs. I think Diaz is still out.
So it's Laporte and Stones, and I think whoever we play down the middle's got a real. I just stay on Stones, as much as you can. And I'd imagine whoever plays left will be playing between Walker and Stones as well in that sort of in that space in between centre half and full backs, because I think they'll be exploitable.
And you anticipate Cancelo being the
I'd imagine Cancelo left back and Walker right back. I'd imagine that's the way generally he'll go. I think that's his back. That's his go-to full backs as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So if you were picking the team tomorrow for Liverpool, who would be your front three?
Salah, Mane, and I'd go Jota. I was going to say Diaz, but I said Jota because he just scores goals. He can play absolutely rubbish, but he will score goals. And I think in a game like this, it might just be the odd goal. Do you know what I mean? And I just think he's got that ability to score. And I think Salah at the moment's not, he's just, he's still a threat. And, he's obviously still, he's not quite at his, unbelievable, brilliant best like he was at the start of the season. He's still unbelievably good, obviously. I think Jota, we just need as many goal threats as we possibly can.
Yeah, I that's what I would have went for, Jota up front, because I think that Diaz coming on, especially if we need, if we need a goal, tiring legs, just running at players, I think that's a great option for us to have. But Jota, I just feel like he's got to his link-up play's got to be a lot better, and he's got to keep the ball a lot better against Manchester City. Obviously, you give the ball away, you might not get it back for a couple of minutes. Just is this now? Would you say this is Liverpool's biggest rivalry? Like, obviously when you look at the fixtures, we look for Man United. Is this starting to become the big one?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, with all due respect to Everton, Man United, they're a long way away from this. So even though they class as sort of rivalries and derbies, they're not as much. Do you know what I mean? No, you don't look. I mean, you play Man United, thinking, all right, whatever. Man City's the game, and even Chelsea as well. Ahead of them, just because you look at the team that are really going to challenge you and the tough ones, and it's them they're the games. So I think it's it's Man City, innit? I mean, it has been for years. There's a bit of a needle to it as well. And it's interesting as well. I don't know if you've heard any of the comments from the Man City players and managers. Jurgen, Guardiola said, the 14-point lead that they had, he's calling it a fake 14-point lead. It's like, wow. That's
handed all that.
Yeah, I'm like, that's interesting that they're worried and they're saying that, because they're obviously thinking we don't want to be known as a team that blew a 14-point lead. Do you know what I mean? So there's that on them as well, isn't there?
Yeah, that's there is elements of truth in what they're saying, because a couple of years ago, obviously when Liverpool capitulated, teams had games in hand. That's just the way it is. But the reality is, you've still got.
I think that season Liverpool had 10-point lead, but Man City had 2 games in hand. Whereas this time Man City had a 14-point lead. Liverpool had 2 games in hand. So that was, they could have knocked it down to 8 points and 4 points. So Man City's lead was bigger. You know what I mean? And they were and they had Chelsea in between as well. So I think it's just interesting to see. You wouldn't expect that sort of stuff to come from Man City, or a team that's in control of their emotions, can rationally think and objectively think about the game in head and trust the process and all that. So they're actually thinking about other stuff, which is good for Liverpool, obviously.
The reality is that you've still got to win those games. Great teams will, a lot of time you'd rather have the point in the bag, because you think they'll slip up at some point. But Liverpool have just been relentless along the way. But yeah, you are right in that it was a couple of weeks back when I can't remember which player it was. It was Bernardo Silva. Yeah, it was Bernardo Silva in an interview, and the interviewer wasn't even asking him anything to do with Liverpool, and he brought out Liverpool, and I thought that was so telling. That usually players are saying we'll take it one game at a time, but he knew it was going to come down to this, and it seems like we very much are in their head, especially with the comments. Guardiola, he talks about Liverpool a lot, and I like that because it does show the respect. It's rare that managers will give you an honest answer like that. So that is refreshing. But yeah, it's got that feeling. If you, I was going to say, I don't know if you remember. Our viewers might not remember. Some of them might be a little bit younger. But obviously, when we beat them, and Steven Gerrard after the game, that big speech after the game, it reminds me of that. But kind of obviously different grounds. But I just wanted to ask you, whoever wins this, do you think they go on to win it, or do you think there's still a long way to go?
Yes, I think if there's a winner in that game, wins the league.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, because
I'll sit on the fence, Ty.
No, because I mean, what we've got, there's 8 games left. There's 7-8 games left, and I think if Man City win it, they're obviously 4 points clear. It means Liverpool need them not to win at least 2 of their games, with Liverpool having to win every single one. Liverpool get a 2-point lead, and Man City is sort of relying on Liverpool to falter, but Liverpool's goal difference is still good. Do you know what I mean? And because of these two great teams, the ability to just keep on winning and grinding results. I just think whoever wins it wins the league.
Yeah, I think Liverpool. I'm going to say Liverpool need it more than City, for obvious reasons. You know, we're obviously behind them, but we've got a trickier run in it, and you know, I don't pay any attention to Paul Merson whatsoever.
He's the worst one. Sorry, he should have missed being in our other pundit that we're other podcast that we're going to do. He needs to be in that. So yeah, that's our next podcast next week.
Yeah, like, you know, in the future we're predicting that we're going to do a podcast. He should have been in that one. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, Paul Merson. I do not listen to Paul Merson whatsoever, but he did make a good. I don't know whether it was a good point. It was kind of like a throwaway comment. He was like, he compared the two games. Like, they had the lists on Sky Sports of the fixtures that Liverpool played, and he was like, let's say Liverpool were playing Newcastle and Man City were playing Burnley. He'd say, well, Newcastle's the hard game. Liverpool have got the hard game. Liverpool have got the hard game. Liverpool have got the hard game. And then he'd say Man City would have the hard game. Then it was Liverpool. And it was true. It was what he said was pretty much correct. In every round of games, pretty much Liverpool had the harder fixture. So, you know, but then again, Liverpool have been ticking them off. So again, I think it all does come down to this, because at the end of the season, it's not going to be a 5-6 point gap. It's going to be a 1, 2, 3 point gap. You can't separate the two teams. Now, I don't know whether you want to do this, but do you want to do a prediction?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
So, no question. Well, we'll have a question of the day. We're going to go with,
yes.
Will this be will the result be decisive on Sunday? Just let us know down below. We'll
decisive for the title. Yeah,
decisive for the title. Let us know. We're not going to make a prediction, because, you know, we're just going to leave it as it is and
jinx it.
Hopefully, when we land in Ibiza, it's 3 points to the mighty Liverpool.
So yeah, if you like what you've seen, you like the content, just remember to click subscribe, put your comments down below. It's been very enjoyable. It's going to be a nerve-wracking 90 minutes. Obviously, I am going to fully endure it. I'm going to take your phone and I'm just going to be rattling it with all my WhatsApp messages, and I won't be so nervous. But I hope you enjoy and relax away in Ibiza, you jammy sod. All right.
On the next one,
See you later, guys.